You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. We are talking to Professor Nadir Arber, who is the professor of medicine and gastroenterology at Tel Aviv University and is the director of the Integrated Cancer Prevention Center in the Tel Aviv Medical Center, and as well is the head of the Cancer Research Center at Tel Aviv University, which is a joint venture of the faculties of medicine and life science. Professor Arber is also the chief scientist at a company called Macromedic. So we're very happy to have you here, and I'd like to start with a question, which is that everyone is looking for a way to prevent cancer. What new ideas are you bringing to the field?
Yeah, I think everyone is trying to prevent cancer, but usually it's not the case, because usually we are dealing with patients with cancer, and especially with colon cancer. I'm a gastroenterologist and have vast experience in this field. We can prevent the disease by up to 90%, and even maybe I'm exaggerating, it's only 80 or 70%, it's still huge numbers. And you can do it by simply doing colonoscopy, because when you're doing colonoscopy, we can detect the pre-malignant lesions, the polyp, and if you take out the polyp, we prevent the outcome, the end stage, the cancer. So the colon cancer is a prototype. We have most of the experience. We have some other type of cancer which can be prevented, like cervical cancer, the uterine cervix in the women, by providing vaccinations against human papillomavirus, HPV. We can do it by eradicating Helicobacter pylori, and by this way we can prevent gastric cancer. We can, by taking some moles and some cancer cells in the skin, we can prevent melanoma. But in other cases, we cannot prevent cancer, but we can try, and we are able to detect it at an early stage. And there is huge difference if you detect cancer at an early stage versus late stage. It makes dramatic differences. Again, if you take the examples of colon cancer, if you detect it in early stages, the 5-year survival, which means curable of the disease, is about 90%. If you detect it when symptoms occur, then the 5-year survival is about 40%, 50%, and it's true for all cancers.
So what is the tool you're talking about? I mean, you mentioned a colonoscopy, which has been something around for a very long time. What's the technique that you're adding?
So no, I'm still advocating for colonoscopy. The problem that we are having, that the public votes with his legs against screening colonoscopy. At the same time, the public do not have any problems of taking blood test. Mm-hmm. And also, if you take a blood test and it is positive, then patients understand that they must undergo colonoscopy. So the patients do not like to undergo colonoscopy, although it's not a big deal, but they have no problems of having blood tests, and they understand that if the test is positive, that they must undergo colonoscopy.
So you've developed a blood test which indicates whether they should go take a colonoscopy?
Exactly. So what we develop, and this is the first time, it's not only for detecting colon cancer, but we are also able to detect adenomas, the polyp, the precursor lesion. So, and it's about 30% of the populations having these polyps. So if you do a blood test and it's positive, then there is and our test is about the sensitivity and specificity of 80%, that this person must undergo colonoscopy. And in fact, we have a few people who refused to undergo colonoscopy, but after we did the test and it was positive, they understood that they must have it, and indeed, we had found in these patients large polyps, and by doing polypectomy, taking out the polyps, actually prevented cancer in these patients.
Well, it was lucky that you insisted upon that. A lot of people use, or at least certainly in Israel was developed the concept of the pill cam instead of a colonoscopy, which I think is probably a little more uncomfortable. Does that work as well?
Yeah, the pill cam is, again, it's 2 stages of convincing people to undergo colonoscopy. I think it's in genuine technology. It is amazing. However, I'm not sure it's going to be useful for mass screening because it's a lot of money, it's expensive, demands a lot of time from the physicians. It's not that it's not an invasive procedure, so that the patient must have meticulous and thorough preparations of his colon. This is another obstacle, but because people also are reluctant to undergo this preparation. So if you can have a blood test, this is going to be the ultimate place. The PILCAM is outstanding. It's excellent technology, but I'm not sure that it's going to be practical for vast screening colonoscopy. But also I have to mention, having saying that, and I've presented it in many meetings, international meetings, national meetings. We have published it in the best literature. It's still in the research phase, and now we are looking to have this international multi-center study to have a final approval, so what we are claiming is true. So not that we have any doubts about it, but always these things have to be shown that it can be done in Australia, in Germany, in Africa, in the United States, that it is not something that is local. It has to be approved that it can be done not only for Jews, not only for Israelis, but can be done everywhere.
Right, peer review is very important. We are talking to Professor Nadir Arber, who is the Professor of Medicine and Gastroenterology at Tel Aviv University, and is involved in research about preventing cancer, and in the event that you don't prevent it, at least catching it in the very, very early stages. He's involved with a company called Micromedic. Can you explain what your involvement is and what the business model is of that company?
The business model of this company, I think was a great idea of the company, is instead of investing a lot of money in trying to do these startup companies, they went to the academia. They came to me and other 4 or 5 institutes in Israel and in the United States and started to say, well, what is your research focus on? And said, well, this is interesting. And we did this joint venture. They supported our research, but we have been working on this project. I've been working on this project for maybe a decade. So actually we were able, for me it was a good investment, but it was excellent investment for them. Now we're in the stage of receiving the approval of the ADA and the CE mark, and not a very that big investment on their sides. It was about $1 million.
I see. And
so I think that was a brilliant idea of the company to come to people that were working on the projects for a long time, invested a lot of time, a lot of efforts, a lot of ideas, in coming to it for quite an advanced stage and being able to divert it into clinical practice.
I see. What's the time frame for seeing this product in the market?
So we think that we should do it this year.
This year?
2011. This is our aim.
Are all the patents? Is all the patent protection?
Obviously, yes, of course. It goes without saying. This is an obstacle for me as a scientist, that sometimes we have to hold our publications and our presentations because of patent issue, but everything is patented, of course.
Mm-hmm. The show that we're on now, my radio show is really a once-a-week radio show. My day job is that I'm an investment advisor with Profile Investments in Jerusalem. So I talk to a lot of people frequently about the high-tech world of Israel and the inventions that are coming up. And one of the common concerns that is related about Israel's innovation is that so much of the innovation is then sold to companies outside of Israel. So Israel does okay in the beginning, but then it's the big money is made outside of Israel. Is this research going to be exported the same way?
No, this is done. It's an Israeli company. It is on the Israeli stock exchange, and obviously we like collaborations, but it's going to be an Israeli technology, Israeli IP.
Very nice. And just to go back to what you said in the very beginning about prevention, do you also recommend that people get involved in changing their diet in order to prevent?
Obviously, lifestyle modifications can prevent cancer, all cancer, by about 50%. Only cancer, but even total mortality. They're doing simple things that they're exercising, eating well, quitting smoking or avoiding smoking, avoiding sun exposure. This is why I established the Integrated Cancer Prevention Center at Tel Aviv Medical Center. It's actually the only center in Israel, maybe the only center worldwide, that you can go thorough examinations of screening for the 11 most common cancers within 2 to 3 hours. We're also building on some research that we are doing, like the study with Micromedic and some other stuff. But even someone who does not wish to be involved in research, we are providing this annual checkup that can prevent cancer or diagnose it at an early stage. So far,
is this paid for by the health, the HMOs, the Kupot Cholim?
It does not pay by the HMOs. Some of them by the Mushlam is paid by the Kupat Cholim Klalit and Muchedet, pay back part of it. Mm-hmm. It's also recognized by some of the insurance company. But if anyone has a problem, financial problems, I will help him. I'm not doing it for the money, but I believe that this is my contribution for better Israel, better health. We are providing this service for free of charge to the policemen in Israel, which I think they are working hard and not highly respected. So money should not be an issue, but it also costs less than what you do for, checkup for our car. Right. I take my car every 10,000 kilometers. It's cost less, and it is more important.
It sounds like a fabulous idea. Just in the last few seconds, can you tell us how people can learn more about this?
I think they can enter the website of Tel Aviv Soraski Medical Center. They can also call us at 03-697-4968. Tel Aviv Medical Center. This is the Integrated Cancer Prevention Center, and we'll be very happy to provide any help that is needed.
Okay, that is fabulous. We have been talking to Professor Nadir Arber, who is with the Tel Aviv Medical Center, talking about how people can both prevent cancer as well as what to do hopefully at the early stages. And to get more information, you can call 03-697-4968. Thank you very much for your time.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt show.